Greetings! Today's video is a continuation of a previous video where I used PowerShell to compare two Excel files and highlight the differences. In this video, we will use the same code and build on it, where we now incorporate emailing the differences once it is a lower amount than it was previously. Follow along and let's begin. Okay, so this is the original script that we coded from a previous video. It takes in two similar Excel files, compares them both, and any differences found, it highlights that cell in yellow. These are the sample inventory files we are working with. There are 7 columns in total: order date, region, rep, items, unit cost, and total. Both files are similar, but there are some differences in the cells. What we are aiming for is if there are any values in our unit costs column that are less than what is in our original file, we want to send an email with this new file attached and the item name that has the reduced price. So only email when it's a price drop and not a price increase. For good measure, let's reduce this one to ensure that it kicks off our email. So in our email, we should specify that the desk is the one that has the reduced price. Okay, let's save that. So what we have at this point is a loop over all cells in both documents, and if they don't match, change the background color, save it, close both documents, and quit Excel. So let's work on setting up the email portion first. We will use system mail with a SMTP server and credentials to send our email. So first, let's define our variables. These are the variables we will be using: our to address, where the email will go to; our from address, where it will come from; our username and password for the mailbox; our subject, which will be price drop; the body will just contain price has been adjusted and a new line with a list of the items, which will be held in our items variable. Now we can actually use an HTML file where we can add images, hyperlinks, etc. But for simplicity, for this example, we will keep it simple. Our attachment name stored in file2 variable, and our SMTP server address. Now let's go over the part to actually send the email with attachment. Our message variable is going to call a new object on system mail. We set our from, our to, subject. Now for attachments, we call on net.mail.attachment, then we add it to our message. We set our body, and then for SMTP server, we call on a new object, net.mail.smtp client, with our server port identified. We pass our credentials. We then send it and specify the message to send. Then we dispose of our attachment. So this is all the code we need to send an email with an attachment. So we will call this with a variable called sendMail and put this in between an if statement. Then let's set our sendMail to false to start with, and only will be activated once our criteria is met. Okay, so let's look at where the action happens. First, let's look at our spreadsheet. So essentially, when our unit cost is reduced, we want to activate sending an email with the details. So when our target column, which is the sixth column, we want to perform the check. So our I variable references the first spreadsheet and J references the second spreadsheet. Same thing with data 1 and data 2 respectively. When data 1 and data 2 is not equal, then we change the color of that cell. So under the same circumstance, we want to check if the column we are on is our sixth column or our unit cost column, and second, that the value in data 2 is less than the value in data 1, since we already know that they are different. Once these criteria are met, we activate our send mail to true, and we add the associated item name of that row. So we grab the text the same way, but we want J to be 4, which is the fourth column in that row. And since we might have a few different values, let's add a space and a comma at the end. So the first check is to check if the values are different. Then we check if a particular cell we are on is a unit cost column 6 cell. If it is, we always check to make sure the new value is less than our previous value. If that is, we set our send mail to true and add the associated item name to an items array. Then, if our send mail is true, we call our items array in our body and attach the file to our email being sent out. And that's it. So we start off by setting our send mail to false. We reference our two files. We loop through all cells of both documents and flag any differences. If a difference is found, we check if it is a unit cost cell. If it is, we check to see if it's a reduced price. If that is, we activate sending our email. So let's run this and see what happens. You can see it's spitting out the differences. And if we look at our email, we get the email with our body and all the differences highlighted in the attachment. Success. Okay, that's it. We just automated finding the difference between two Excel spreadsheets, and if a further criteria is met, in our case, the price in a particular column is reduced, we want to send an email with details. This is just a simple automation, but you can imagine the complexity that can be incorporated using similar techniques. If you have any questions or need help with automating tasks, please reach out to us at AIP Solutions. Thanks for watching.